today on Head Coach.
I'm 23 years old, and he says, hey, you want to go coach football? And I said, you're going to pay me to coach football? But I was actually working like heck just to get a job, not even anticipating that I was going to get a chance to stay at Tennessee. All the fundamental things are going to help you be a better player. You're plenty physically good enough. Physically good enough. Physically ought to be playing right now. We work very hard at it. Recruiting is kind of like shaving. If you don't do it every day, you're going to look bad. we really work at it. We talked about taking it to the next level, and we were able to do that, to win a national championship, I guess, in our, 6th year. In our team room, above all else, character. And, that just covers so much, if a young man will do the right thing.
Coach's Fact is proudly brought to you by OnTrack Incorporated, the leader in fiber-to-the-home connectivity. Phillip Fulmer served 13 years as a Vols assistant coach beginning in 1980 before becoming the 20th head football coach at Tennessee. Fulmer also served 3 seasons as offensive coordinator. During Fulmer's years as coordinator, the Vols consistently broke team total offensive records and were ranked 1 or 2 in the SEC.
Coach, it's truly an honor to be here with you, and thank you for taking the time to be with us and talk with us today. Did you ever, as you were leaving your playing days, imagine you'd be in this office as a head coach?
No, there's no way you could imagine that. Actually, I was trying to get into law school as a graduate student here at the university, and Coach Battle, a great guy, and my coach at the time asked me to help out a little bit while I was here, and they were paying for my education in my law school, so I said okay, and one thing led to another. I fell in love with coaching. I was around some guys that were just special.
That's amazing. You were going to set out to be a lawyer.
I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I ended up spending more time over here than I did in the law library, so I ended up being a football coach. No, I wasn't sure, like a lot of young people that come through, and I thought law school would be a good avenue that you could go a lot of directions with, but fortunately early I found what I wanted to do and enjoyed doing, so coaching was it.
Talk to me about Coach Fulmer. What kind of a person is he?
Well, I knew him first as I was a high school coach and he was the recruiter, and you evaluate those guys that come in that situation, and Phillip was just real. And he was easy to get to know and easy to like.
Well, Phillip was here, a couple years before me, but we were really close as assistant coaches. Did some things together. Matter of fact, we did some outside work together for the families. We had an opportunity to build some playhouses for our kids at the same time, and got to spend some neat time with him and got to see Phillip the man rather than Phillip the coach. At an early stage in my coaching career here.
This campus really holds a special place for you, doesn't it?
It really does. As I said, the roots are very, very deep here for me at the University of Tennessee, going back to my playing days in the late 60s and early 70s, and then as a graduate student for a bit, and then back as an assistant coach in 1980. So I think all total something like 34 years of my life has been invested into this university in one way or another.
That's a lot of years.
That's a lot of years. Got some more years ahead of me too. Looking forward to those, but it's a special place.
Take me on your coaching journey, kind of where you were and how you got here.
I was here obviously as a player and fortunate to play and had a great experience as an undergraduate, and then decided to go to graduate school, and Coach Cafago at the time legendary Tennessee name all over the place. You'll see about Coach Cafago, and taught me to do the scouting. Actually, my one graduate assistant year, that was my responsibility, and I took it very seriously.
And I think it starts with perseverance with him, because, you know, the willingness to have attention to detail, to take the little things and make sure you're working on the little things. All that takes perseverance. You have to completely stay focused in those tasks, and Phillip's just always done a phenomenal job of doing that.
We'd spend hours and hours and hours of, back in the day, cutting the film and splicing it and putting it on the wall, and then coming back and putting them together in the series like the coaches wanted, and learned a lot of football, and had to make presentations to the staff as to what I thought offensively and defensively in the kicking game, because I'd been the one out seeing the game.
He can outwork anybody, and I mean, and it's just he'll persevere on a task until it's done right.
And I must have done a reasonably good job, as Jim Wright was on that staff, and he got a job at Wichita State, and I'm 23 years old, and he says, "Hey, you want to go coach football?" And I said, "You're going to pay me to coach football?" You know, so shoot, I jumped at the opportunity, and we took a very tough situation at the time, and we ended up winning the championship in the third or fourth year there, and stayed there 5 years. Had a chance to kind of come home to Middle Tennessee, and went to Vanderbilt for a year, which I don't tell all the Tennessee people that, but it was a good experience for me. A lot of good people at a great university, and then 1980 I had a chance to come back to Tennessee as an assistant coach. Coach Majors was good enough to hire me back.
I worked with him as an assistant coach, and you know, as an assistant coach, and we worked very closely, he was unbelievable there in taking it to the nth degree. When he coached an offensive line, he coached everything there was to coach about that person. Player, person, I mean, you just ask the guys that used to play for him.
29 years old and just having the time of my life, and met my wife, and you know, the rest of it's kind of been history as we went through the assistant coach, coordinator, assistant head coach, and now we're in our 14th year here at Tennessee.
Flies, doesn't it?
It just flies.
Yeah, gets faster and faster. It doesn't slow down at all.
It doesn't slow down, and you'd think as you got more experience and everything, but it's the same. It's the same as my first year. Every year's different. All kinds of different challenges coming at you, probably more now because of the amount of coverage and everything, the ability to communicate through the internet and the blogs and the talk shows and everything that's out there. It's a tremendous amount of difference, I guess, in the last 5 or 6 years.
You've been around in this area all your life, basically. It seems like most of it, and most of your adult life.
Most of my adult life.
And you even had daughters who graduated and are still going here.
I'm really blessed to have our daughters decided to stay close, and went to the University of Tennessee. My daughter Courtney is a graduate of the College of Communications, out doing extremely well in her own right. My middle daughter, Brittany, is a diver here for the university.
She's an academic All-American, I heard, too. Is that
academic
right?
All-Conference, and probably will be an academic All-American. Both my daughters that are here made the academic All-SEC team last year, and my youngest daughter, Allison, is placed on the softball team here.
Well,
so we're excited.
Athletic genes kind of run, don't
Probably came from the mom, you know, the mom side. My wife Vicky's very athletic.
And how do you, with the insane and intense schedule you guys have, how do you prioritize the family?
It's tough, and then particularly as a young coach, I think I got that way out of perspective some. I'm trying to enjoy those kind of things for the last several years a lot more with the family. I have a son that's out and married, and my 3 girls have all done extremely well, and they haven't been hurt. Their mother's done a great job with them and everything, but the time commitment is really, really difficult. But I'll say this, when I'm home, I'm home. You know, I'm into them and into their things, and we have followed baseball, softball, diving meets, swimming meets. You know, we've done it all. Gymnastics and everything.
Yeah, it sometimes, particularly when you're younger, you feel like you got to make the mark, don't you? I mean,
well, yeah, and you do. I mean, whether it be in any business that you're in, you know, those early stages, you know, of your career are very, very important, that you've laid that foundation and everything. And I never really knew I would have a chance to be a head coach, particularly at a place like this, but as it's turned out, it was a great opportunity for me. And
You're pretty good at it.
I didn't know that I was ready, but I was ready, and darn if we hadn't made a pretty good career.
Yeah, I'll say.
Coming up next on Head Coach.
I've been very blessed in one way, very spoiled in another, as my wife would tell me, that we haven't ever had one of those kind of seasons as a head coach. And I have discovered that I never want to have another one.
Coach's Fact is proudly brought to you by Pilot Travel Centers. Pilot is crazy about coffee. Phillip Fulmer is the Dean of the Southeastern Conference Coaches. He's won a national championship, 2 SEC conference titles, and 6 divisional crowns. Fulmer's winning percentage stands at 77%, which ranks him first among all Division I coaches with at least 10 years of coaching experience.
Time with Coach Majors, would you consider him clearly one of your mentors?
Certainly, it'd have to
learned
be,
a lot.
you go along with him and Jim Wright and back to Bill Battle. I was real fortunate to have people that I, learned a lot from, a lot of different things, some how to do things, some how not to do things,
Coach Majors had to have a huge influence on the program, not just the program, but also on Coach Fulmer and yourself as well.
Well, there's no question I'm a much better football coach because of Coach Majors, a lot of things that he taught me, and obviously he was my coach. I played for him and had an opportunity to work for him, so it was a good experience from that standpoint.
Tom Osborne, when I lived in Wichita, Lincoln was just up the road, and so I spent some time up there trying to be a fly on the wall just to see how they did it, because they were doing it as good as anybody in America. So I was fortunate to be around a lot of good people, and then we've had such a wonderful staff here, that we've all learned from each other as we've grown.
It's inevitable when you're in a position like you are that you're going to have some difficult situations, difficult decisions to make. Even the transition when you came into the job in your first year was a difficult transition, wasn't it?
It was difficult from a personal standpoint. From a football standpoint, it was quite easy.
Just the change from Coach Majors, who had had great success, and obviously a Tennessee hero and legend in a lot of ways, to Coach Fulmer, and that transition occurring somewhat during the middle of the season. Was a tough time for a lot of fans.
We won some ball games at an interim, so hey, I can do this. We beat Florida and Georgia, and I think Alabama, a couple other good teams.
The administration felt like that they wanted to make a change, and they did, and I was very fortunate that Phillip asked me to stay here with him, and I was excited that I had that opportunity.
But from a personal standpoint, it was a hard time for the Tennessee family, as to how everything transpired. I was actually working like heck to get a job, not even anticipating that I was going to get a chance to stay at Tennessee, but I'm certainly glad that I was able to.
Phillip, stood tall during that time, and took charge of the program, and over the course of years has made it his program and has put his own stamp on the program.
Seems like it worked out pretty good.
It's worked out well, and we talked about taking it to the next level, and we were able to do that, to win a national championship, I guess, in our, 6th year, I guess, something like that.
We have great tradition here. In the last 75 years, we're the winningest football program in America, but Phillip has carved out his niche in that tradition.
It took a lot of effort by a lot of people, and I guess 5 out of the previous 9 years, we have won the East, or tied for it. So, yeah, we've done quite well, matter of fact. Play like a winner on every play. Every play is important. Understand? Huh? Don't let that big monster jump on your back, that heat monster, huh? Can't jump on your back. Shake it off.
Coach, to have a real strong program, and a championship program, you got to surround yourself with pretty solid folks. I mean, you can't do it all yourself.
No. Our success as being the winningest program in the Southeastern Conference in the last 10 years is not by accident. It's by having great people. And we are so blessed to have John Chavis as our defensive coordinator and assistant head coach. Just a tremendous man, as I am a Tennessee graduate, has a great passion for the university and for the kids in the program, and very much a confidant for me. David Cutcliffe had 17 years prior to his stint at Ole Miss as the head coach, and is back with us, and I am thrilled, and I know everybody around is thrilled.
My son and David's son, because David's son was the manager on our team last year, and they got to be pretty good friends, and they reminded me of it when David came back of the record that we had together, which was pretty phenomenal. So I'm excited about that. David brings a lot to our football team, a lot of things, a lot of experience. I think with quarterbacks, there's no doubt he is the very best in terms of getting those guys to play, and in terms of getting those guys to do the things that you need to do to win.
The one person that I had confidence as the transition occurred in our coordinator position and Phillip started talking about the possibilities, the one person I knew could have a direct, immediate impact on our football program would be David Cutcliffe, because he has such a close friendship with Phillip, a brotherly type friendship with Phillip, and he could actually, if you will, get in his face a little bit on the things that he saw from an outside looking in that he felt like that weren't there, that were there in the mid-90s.
What'd you say to David Cutcliffe to get him back?
No, it wasn't
tough?
hard.
Yeah,
it really
pretty easy.
wasn't. It just the timing of everything, the opportunity was great for him to start back here, and I mean, we're like brothers.
The time away was good time, but this has been home. My wife's a graduate of the University of Tennessee. Phillip matter of fact, was in our wedding. So coming back here to live, prior to ever believing we would have any chance to work here again or coach here again, when we were without a job, coming here to live was just a natural.
He's one of those guys that you could put the program in his hands, and he could do as good a job as anybody. So I have great love and admiration for him, and he has the same passion for the University of Tennessee, having spent that amount of time here.
So we spent a year here, and then that regardless of what that appears like to people, there was no plan in that, and things happened the way they did. And then I'm fortunate enough to have a chance to work here twice, is the way I look at it.
Randy Sanders resigned as offensive coordinator. That had to be pretty difficult on all the staff.
Well, it was, and it was even more difficult on Phillip. Like I said, I've been here through some tough times and been here through some great times, and really, and saw him struggle more with that than anything that I've seen.
You got a guy that I love dearly, love his family, and there's a great passion about Tennessee football, and he was, getting a lot more of the heat than he deserved. Sometimes we get more credit than we deserve. Sometimes you get more heat than he deserved. I hated that whole scenario for him and his family, and for us and for the staff. Randy is a special person, and his family very special. Not only his immediate family, but his parents, and he's what Tennessee's all about, and that's family. And Randy came here, and he was so good, nobody ever let him leave. And so he and Coach Fulmer have great respect for each other and a great deep friendship, and that's been a difficult thing. But it happens not only in athletics, it happens in life, and you hope everything turns out for the good of everyone involved. We've talked several times since. He's a good guy and wonderful people, and it was very difficult. And as I said, I'd never want to go through anything like that again, because I feel it for my staff. I feel it for me. Just me, I can kind of handle that, but when you get into people you really, really care about, and especially their family, it gets tough.
05, obviously, not real pleasant to talk about, I'm sure, but there's so many things that you learn and overcome, and really I see, I just see that as such an opportunity to handle adversity, and even to look at the kids and how's coach going to handle adversity. I think do you sense that they look at you? I don't
think there's any question that they'll look at me, and they'll look at all of us, and it's one of those things you can't blink. I've been very blessed in one way, very spoiled in another, as my wife would tell me, that we haven't ever had one of those kind of seasons as a head coach. And I have discovered that I never want to have another one.
I think a lot of times, we, in our lives, in whatever job or capacity we're in, sort of start taking things for granted somewhere along the way. And every now and then, you kind of get smacked in the face, and you have to look in the mirror and say, all right, what just happened here? What are the lessons I'm going to learn from this experience? And certainly in a football analogy, you don't want to get smacked with a 5-6 season or a losing season. Right. But I think that was a smack in the face for us. Institutionally, as a football program, as administrators, as fans. First of all, it was a wake-up call to realize how fortunate we have been with the success that we have had.
05 season was really an anomaly in his career. And how is he viewing that? How has he bounced back? Is there added pressure because of that? Do you feel added pressure because of that?
I think at Tennessee and pressure, programs like this, pressures exist. And that's, I think, a big part of the fun. I like that feeling, and I think he likes that feeling. And we apply more pressure on ourselves now. Privately in staff meetings, we all feel challenged. You don't like 5 and 6 anywhere, but you don't like 5 and 6 at Tennessee.
I really believe this. When you start looking at expectations, I don't think anyone has any higher expectations than the coaching staff ourselves. We expect to win, and we work hard to win, and I think that's every coach in America. I think that could be true. If not, they shouldn't be in the profession.
He hasn't gone from coach to coach and staff meeting to staff meeting trying to apply more pressure on us because of an off year the year before. I think he's got good people, and he knows his people, and we're all aware that what happened a year ago was not acceptable, so I don't think he has to remind people of that regularly.
I think we probably assumed a few too many things, and coming off of a Eastern Division championship, having a lot of guys back, number 3 in the country in the preseason and so on and so forth, but we just did not play up to our potential, and we gave up just enough plays to get big, and it's very untypical. And we've been fortunate from time to time, to get, but last year we could not buy a break.
As we went through the 05 season in particular, Phillip hurt, I hurt, our fans hurt, but the conversations that he and I had at the end of the year were about, okay, what do we need to do collectively? You as the head coach, me as athletic director, to make sure that we get this train back on the tracks and accomplish the things that you came here to accomplish, that I came here to accomplish, and that our fans expect us to accomplish. It's unacceptable at the University of Tennessee, so what are we going to do to put it back in the right fashion?
It recharged a lot of things around here, and he's made sure of that. But panicking, thinking that we've got to change everything that we believe in, absolutely not. There's been too many football games won with the way we run this program and the way he runs this program. So, that's I think that proof again is in the pudding. We got to do what we believe in, but you can certainly know that he is more cranked up maybe than ever.
It seemed like there's 2 or 3 plays, and you're a 9-1 easy.
Oh, easy. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, we drop them in the end zone.
Fumbled in the
end zone. We just had one of those really, really unusual years, but now we're even. We're all even. With the good luck and the bad luck, we're just even, and now we're going forward.
Clean slate. There you go.
There's a lot of energy and excitement around this football team, and you learn from everything. You learn from the great experiences you had. I learned a lot about ourselves in '98 when we won the national championship, or 2001 when we had maybe our best team. Really. But I also learned a lot about ourselves last year, and we've made some changes that I think are key to us, and now we're ready to go.
Coming up next on Head Coach.
I did learn one thing from it, though, that the next time we do it, and we will do it again, we'll hold that trophy up again, I'm going to take some time and enjoy it.
Coach's Fact is proudly brought to you by OnTrack Incorporated, the leader in fiber-to-the-home connectivity. The Vols have eclipsed the 10-win mark 8 times under Phillip Fulmer. The highlight came in 1998 when Tennessee capped a perfect 13-0 season with a Fiesta Bowl victory over Florida State, securing the national championship. The Vols had a streak of 54 consecutive weeks ranked in the top 10, and Tennessee had been in the national polls at game time for all but 20 of Fulmer's games.
about the championship. What is it like, the end of the game, to hold that Sears football? Can you even describe it?
It's indescribable, really. It was a great moment as we were obviously at the end of the game. Looked like we were going to win the game, and the players kind of get around you and everything, and everybody's hugging and patting each other on the back. And then when I started to midfield to meet Coach Bowden, it was just a great feeling that we've won the game. But it was almost, with all the flashing of the cameras and everything that was going on, it was the most surreal moment that I've ever had in my life, actually, that I felt my father was a great fan. He died in 1989, so he never really saw me have a chance to be a head coach or anything. But I mean, it was an eerie, almost angelic kind of a moment that I felt right there. And then we got to the middle of the field, and Coach Bowden was very gracious.
That story about feeling and sensing your dad gives me goosebumps. I was all tingling through there. I mean, anybody I think who's lost a parent can feel that. It was
a great moment because he loved the Vols, and he was my biggest critic, in the proper way. He just kept things in perspective. But we had a tremendous relationship, and at that moment I felt his presence.
Let's move into that championship season. I mean, what a magical season that must have been. Starting with the first game where you won by 1 point over Syracuse. I mean, what was that like?
Well, it was incredible, and it was a great run for us, and we just lost a lot of great players. Peyton Manning, Leonard Little, some tremendous players, some of the best players in the history of Tennessee football. And a lot of people said, well, they had an opportunity and probably should have won a championship in '97, and we let it slip away. We lose a game to Memphis that we shouldn't have lost. That maybe if we win that game, not maybe, we would have played for a championship. So our team came back with some things to prove. I think the coaching staff did too.
It was almost like there wasn't enough time to share it with the fans as they put you on the stage, and you were doing all that. You wanted everybody to have a chance to touch that trophy because everybody had been a part of it. And we had our fans and the families and some of the players on the stage. It was a great moment to remember.
It was probably the best that we've played together as a team, and that was the thing that I remember the most, how Phillip pulled all that together and how hard we worked to protect a defense that needed a little time to grow. Our offense did a great job of running the football. We played better as a team than we ever have.
I did learn one thing from it, though, that the next time we do it, and we will do it again, we'll hold that trophy up again, I'm going to take some time and enjoy it, because I got on an airplane the next morning and went recruiting, after a late night and a few hours of sleep. I felt like, hey, we got to get back out and get to work. The next time I'm going to take a couple of days and enjoy it.
Yeah, it is that time, isn't it? I mean, January is a huge month for
January is a huge month, but I don't think that it was that huge. I think
a couple of days.
We could have done a couple of days and celebrated with the people that helped us get there. Need to show up today now, okay? It's a big day for you, okay? Big day for you. Rico, big day for you. Ryan Carlton, he comes to play every day, huh?
The thing that I hear over and over from your staff about you is your loyalty to the staff, to them as people, your relationships. I mean, that's huge.
Well, we go much beyond just being working partners. We're very much friends, very much our families are intertwined.
He's loyal to all of us and has been for years, and his relationships with former players and former trainers and managers, and just ask them.
Loyalty is always talked almost synonymously when you talk about Phillip Fulmer. I mean, is that the case?
Oh, there's no question. And I think you have to have that, and you have to have that trust for each other. And I think a lot of what we do at Tennessee is built around trust. And you want your players to feel the same way, that they can come in, that they can trust the coaches, that they can relate to the coaches. And that's the kind of environment that he tries to create with the coaches and with the families.
It's much beyond just spending time working to get a football team ready. It's we believe in each other, we trust each other. It's really a fun thing to do, is to come to work on a daily basis. And that's the atmosphere, the family atmosphere that we've always had. Trooper Taylor, a couple of years ago, came here. He's added a lot to that. So yes, I'm very pleased with our staff.
Tremendous family man. Our practices are are held on these fields, and his daughter, his wife are here from time to time. Matter of fact, a big percentage of the time. And it's conducive towards young kids being on this practice field, and that's the way he wants to conduct business. He wants it to be a family atmosphere.
One of the biggest challenges in coaching is being a good daddy. Maybe even harder than being the good husband. Both can be tough at times, but being a good daddy. And Phillip Fulmer's as good a daddy as there is out there.
The thing that I'm always really impressed with is the love that he shows around his kids. And it's obvious, you know, Phillip Jr. is not here in town, but his girls are around a lot, and the love and affection that he has for Courtney and Brittany and Allison is, you know, I aspire to that as a father, and I hope that I'm accomplishing those things with my children. But it's obvious that they love him, they want to be around him. He dotes over them, and then obviously with Vicki, he and Vicki have a very, very tight relationship, one of unbelievable support from her, which I think is necessary when you're a head football coach in the South at a place like the University of Tennessee.
Has there ever been difficult times where tough decisions have to be made on a business level and you got to set the friendship aside? Always,
and that's, you know, I think he does a great job of that. You know, he's put Tennessee first for a long, long time, and doing that and making decisions, and for most part I think those decisions have turned out well.
That's just what you have to do as a head coach in making those tough decisions. You know, he's got guys that have been with him a long time. You know, he's always been that kind of a manager that we discuss a lot of things and are very thorough in those discussions. But, you know, he knows that when it comes time to making a tough decision, you know, he makes it. And, you know, he's done that well. Think about that. Now, you don't do that for 14 years and do as well as he's done without having to pull the trigger. And he's a good trigger guy. He does what he has to do.
Coming up next on Head Coach.
He believes in the University of Tennessee, bleeds orange. If there's anybody that was ever prepared to continue to carry the University of Tennessee forward in our football history, it's Phillip Fulmer.
Coach's Fact is proudly brought to you by Carpets of Dalton, the world's largest floor covering store. Phillip Fulmer's 95-30 record over the past 10 years is the best in the SEC, and Tennessee has ended the season nationally ranked in the top 10 6 times under Fulmer. Off the field, Fulmer is a committed civic leader, working with the Boys and Girls Club of America. He is also the national spokesperson for the Jason Foundation, a nonprofit organization that fights teen suicide.
Steps, huh? Body position, good sets, all the fundamental things are going to help you be a better player. You're plenty physically good enough. Physically good enough. Physically ought to be playing right now, okay? Now the mental part of it is our next focus. There's a lot of ways to describe character. You know, the simplest way as a coach, you know, is, and it's, you know, it's one of those things, will he touch the line when the coach is not looking? You know, is he going to be a guy that in practice does everything that he can to be the best player that he can be regardless? I saw you running on that sweep, huh? I saw you running on that sweep. You might have got a 5 flat on that one, huh? When he's away from you or in the locker room, is he going to be an extension of the coach and share his ideas about leadership and his ideas about proper behavior, and if there's an issue out in the community somewhere, is he going to be the guy that steps in and says this is not the right thing, or at the very least walk away himself to make sure that he's not, you know, caught into something?
But success is seeing young men come in here and grow athletically, grow academically, and grow spiritually. When that happens, then you're winning. There's no question about that. When we can bring a young man in here and help him grow, and he leaves here a better man, then we've won. And ultimately, that's what we're looking for. And if you're going to win a bunch of games along the way, then that makes it a whole lot better. But if you're not doing that, doesn't matter how many games you win, you're not winning.
There's just so many facets of a young man when in our team room, above all else, character. And, you know, that just covers so much, you know, if a young man will do the right thing.
I've also heard some of your staff talk about your faith, that you're a strong man of faith, that you're a civic leader. what is faith, and how do you incorporate your faith into the program?
Well, I think, again, I was so blessed to be brought up in a very strong Christian home that those Southern Baptists, those priorities were in place. And then, like all of us, you go through some decision-making times in your life, and fortunately, married a woman of faith.
We have James Mitchell that's here with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes that's very involved, that Coach Fulmer got very involved with our program. And there's always the big picture. And I just think there's a piece that has to be there. And he's got that. And he's that rock that people look for. And I think his faith has a lot to do with that.
He's got a burning desire to be the best, but yet I think he knows there's some things that really and truly are more important than football. And he's given this program his very, very best, but obviously when you start looking at family and you start looking at God, I think he has his priorities in order. Certainly he's given this university and this program a tremendous amount of himself, but I think he's done the same thing for his God and for his family too.
I do believe very strongly that, that Christ came and died for our sins, and that we're all accountable, for our actions and for our families. And I think that part of the experience that we can give a youngster here at the university, or are obligated to give a youngster here at the university, is either an extension of what his family has already developed and built, and hopefully that's the case, but in some cases the young people, maybe for the first time, they're exposed to Christ and exposed to beliefs that maybe are somewhat foreign to them, and that they can come to Christ.
You mentioned his faith. As he deals with those in his family and his players, he's always talking about being a total person. Doing the right things athletically, doing the right things academically, doing the right things spiritually, and he tries to lead by example.
I understand the separation of church and state and those kind of things, and we have to be careful that we don't cross lines or force it down people, but we have a team chaplain through the FCA that does a tremendous job. We have chapels, so we have Bible studies and opportunities for the young people to grow, and fortunately that's been a very big part of what we've done here at Tennessee. How about you, huh? You gonna get that T on the side of your helmet and represent it well?
Yes, sir.
Huh? How about you? You gonna show up, puppy? Show up today, Kaz, huh?
One of the things that you hear so much about is recruiting ability, and he does a tremendous job of recruiting. But the thing that a lot of people don't know unless they're close to him is just how smart he is. He does a great job of game preparation, and that's one of the things that we do. I really believe that we're so thorough that not many situations come up that we hadn't talked about or worked on. And again, that's a big part of him and his organization.
So his strategy, more than anything, is
there's no doubt. And Phillip could coach defense as well as he could coach offense. He's very successful as an offensive coordinator, but again, I think it gets lost because a lot of people talk about the recruiting part of it, and he does a tremendous job of recruiting, and he's a tireless worker that they don't realize really how smart he is and how great a football coach he is.
You have to be a good recruiter, a great recruiter at the University of Tennessee. We're a small population state. He is a great recruiter. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that he is extremely passionate about, is recruiting and signing the next class of kids.
In most cases, we start locally and want to try to work out from there, but if we have to go nationally, and we can go to New Orleans and sell Peyton Manning and come into Tennessee, or to Oregon to sell Eric Ainge to come to Tennessee, because they feel that bond that we have as a staff and the commitment here, and the administrative commitment, and they see the facilities and the tapes of the traditions and all those kind of things are fun for them to dream about being a part of. So it's kind of a natural thing, and we work very hard at it. Recruiting is kind of like shaving. If you don't do it every day, you're going to look bad, and we really work at it.
Tennessee has sent more players to the NFL than any other school in the conference. What do you attribute that to?
Well, all sorts of things, Doug, I think. We are blessed to be able to go and recruit athletes that are capable of, in high school, they show that they have those kind of potentials. But I think we do a tremendous job of, once they get to campus, of developing those skills, whether it be on the field, which is the practices and everything, but also in the off season, where the winter strength and conditioning programs. I think we do a good job once they get here. Also the discipline standpoint, you know. A lot of pro scouts say when a Tennessee player comes to our practices, they understand how to practice. You know, they know how to work in the hours that are designated and what it is to go full speed.
I think he's done a tremendous job, you know, running this program. It's been fun. It's been exciting working for him. And, you know, as I survey around the country, if there's a coach out there that I would want my son to play for, it'd be Phillip Fulmer.
Well, that's the measure, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What do you think the future holds for Tennessee football?
Well, I think that, you know, championships is the first word that comes to mind. We're going to win championships, and this is a championship program. And we're going to do it with character and class. You know, we've always done that. You know, there's really good times ahead. And, you know, I think that the best may yet to come. You know, you look at Coach Bryant and his career and different coaches through the years, even Coach Bowden. You know, there's times there, and Coach Paterno, there can be a lull, and oftentimes after that lull are some of the greatest runs. You know, it's time to go do that, and you know, that's the focus we have right now.
I've got great confidence in Phillip's ability to do the things that we need him to do, because I know the type of person he is, I know the type of character he has, I know what he believes in. And I mentioned earlier about he's a Tennessee native through and through. This is his institution. Mm-hmm. He believes in the University of Tennessee. He bleeds orange. If there's anybody that was ever prepared to continue to carry the University of Tennessee forward in our football history, it's Phillip Fulmer.
And, you know, our goal every year is to win the championship. You know, and to do that first, you've got to win the East. We're a young team in a lot of places, especially when you start looking at some key spots, the running backs and those kind of things that we just didn't have the spring practice with them because of injuries and stuff. But you know, if we can stay healthy and everything, we can make a run at the championship, and that's what we try to do every year. If not, we'll have a lot to do with who does win.